Hi everyone, it's your boy The H with another boxing video on H Talks, Comics, Sports and Wrestling. So let's get straight into it. Lennox Lewis versus Anthony Joshua. I want to know where you guys stand on this battle of the ages. So if you don't know what's going on, basically AJ has done an interview with Sky Sports. I'm not going to go through the whole interview, but basically he says at one point Lennox Lewis is a clown, and I'm paraphrasing, so I would say go watch the whole video and read the whole comments before you make your opinion. But basically AJ goes into it and AJ says along the lines of, I want to leave a legacy and my legacy will be to look at the younger boxers coming through and help them. I want to help the young boxers coming through. I don't want to castigate them, I don't want to criticise them like Lennox Lewis has done with me. Basically, it's obvious if you watch the video that AJ feels slighted by Lennox. And I'm an objective guy, I'm going to give you my objective point of view on both sides. So first up, I do think that AJ is correct in what he says in terms of being slighted. If you look at the way Lennox Lewis has been speaking about him, especially in interviews over the last couple of years, it's not always been the most flattering. He has said AJ's got a lot of work to do. He said AJ should have put more money and more, given Deontay Wilder more percent in terms of making that fight happen. He said that fight should have happened. He blames AJ for it and Hearn, but he literally did say Anthony Joshua himself. Not just that, but if you go on to their Twitter feeds, look at Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis is putting receipts of tweets where he praised AJ, but even the tweets he puts up, he half praised him. He said, "Oh, well done for AJ for that. We need the big fight to happen." Rah rah rah. Those things of that nature. And he's trying to say he never castigated AJ, which isn't true. He did. And if you go and watch all my videos, I'm very, very objective. I've questioned Anthony Joshua. I've said, is he on therapeutic usage, exemption TUE, and etc, etc. So I'm very objective both ways. But I can see more. I'll be honest, I can see more Anthony Joshua's point of view than Lennox's. Lennox's view obviously is going to be skewed because I don't know if you guys understand or know this, but he works for Al Heyman. He works for the PBC. Guess who owns and runs the PBC? Al Heyman. So he directly works for Al Heyman. It's in Al Heyman's interest to big up PBC boxers. Guess what? Deontay Wilder's a PBC boxer. So while Lennox Lewis gives him huge credit and kudos, he doesn't do the same with Anthony Joshua. Guess why? Anthony Joshua is not a PBC fighter. He's not under the totalitarian regime of Al Heyman. By the way, I'm not trying to criticize Al Heyman because someone would say Eddie Hearn also has a totalitarian regime. I'm just using a turn of phrase. So if you guys want to appreciate that or make that into a big deal, you can. I'm just giving it how it is, as most promoters are, if not all promoters. So like I said, I'm not biased, I'm being very objective with it. But I can see more where Anthony Joshua's coming from because he's a young boxer come through. He had almost all the belts, not all the belts, because obviously the one he needed was the WBC, which is currently held by a certain Deontay Wilder. The same Deontay Wilder who Lennox Lewis goes out of his way to praise and says is one of the greatest, if not the greatest right now, etc, etc. So at the end of the day, I think it's fair that Joshua's had his comment, because if you've been castigated for years and years by a guy you probably respected, there's pictures of them after the 2012 Olympics holding each other, like hugging each other arm in arm. At the time, Lennox Lewis said he hopes he goes on to surpass him, which is true. But honestly, I don't know if that's the case, because as much as people of the older generation, certain people say, "Oh, I want you to surpass me," and like in terms of father and son, yeah, you do. Like, I'm sure my dad does. I'm sure if I have a son one day, I'm sure I want him to surpass me. But these guys aren't flesh and blood. They're not related. This is a boxer who's little talking about Lennox right now, who, while he was born in West Ham, a lot of people, I remember this, like I'm 30 now, I remember growing up in the days with Lennox Lewis and people say, "Oh, he hasn't got an English accent, his accent's what do they call him? They say he's Canadian, they say he's Jamaican, because I think he had some houses in Jamaica. I think he even now lives in America, so they're like, "Oh, he loves Canada, America, Jamaica, he's not a true Brit," all this kind of stuff. So imagine you're hearing that all the time as Lennox Lewis, and then you see Anthony Joshua, a young guy born and raised here, obviously of Nigerian descent, and he's loved up and, let's be honest, mostly claimed, isn't he? Like no one has ever really questioned his Britishness. He's definitely British, he's born and raised, they won the Olympic gold. Whereas Lennox Lewis fought in the Olympics, I believe, for Canada. I'm not sure if he got the gold or not, but he fought for Canada. So this is my personal interpretation. I might be fully wrong, but I reckon a little bit of Lennox Lewis is a bit jealous. He's thinking, "Oh, do you know what? I wish I was getting the kudos. I wish I was getting the love from the British public." I'm not about boxing fans. I'm not about boxing fans, guys. the public, the British public, love AJ. Like my girlfriend, she knows who AJ is. My dad knows who AJ is. Every single person I know right now know who AJ is. If I said to them, Joe Lennox Lewis is, probably not. Obviously, at the sign of the times. But guess what? In the 2000s, like I said, I'm 30. Mike Tyson was a bigger star than Lennox. I remember that fight on pay-per-view. I remember that happening. I was only like 10, 11. But I remember all the hype was about Mike Tyson. Back in those days, everyone was gone about how boxing was better and all this kind of stuff. Back then, in terms of big names, like Lennox Lewis was decent, but he was, like I said, he'd be in America half the time, so not all the criticisms were unfair. Whereas AJ was in the Head and Shoulders advert, Under Armour advert, Beats advert. You see AJ all the time. Like if you go on Instagram or social media, obviously it helps. You see AJ all the time. He's a mega star, and from what I see, Lennox Lewis was never on that level in terms of what I see, my personal experience. Maybe you guys have a different experience. Maybe you're a lot older. You can be have certain biases. I guess it is what it is. But I do think a little bit it's probably jealousy in terms of AJ, in terms of making his big money as well. Like AJ's getting like 30-40 mils for a fight, and he's always got a huge name. Everyone knows him. Links, got Links Africa, and all the other Links endorsements. He's doing really, really well. And like I said, maybe I'm wrong, but I could see Lennox possibly being a bit jealous because of the way that AJ Anthony Joshua was perceived, the way he's loved by the British public in general. Once again, talking boxing fan, it's the complete opposite. It's a very interesting dichotomy because I follow boxing on Twitter. If you go on Twitter, I say from what I see, 80% of people are on Lennox Lewis's side. They're loving up Lennox Lewis. They're saying, oh, he's one of the greatest ever. He beat Tyson. Tyson was a bit faded, guys, let's be honest. Like, and you can say whatever you want. It wasn't prime Tyson, so whatever. But a few people saying, oh, after he won, was it a rematch against Oliver McCall, etc., etc. And I'd say honestly, 80% of boxing Twitter are on the AJ side. Obviously, boxing Twitter, I'm not sure what the age demographic is, how it's skewed, but it's very interesting about boxing fans in general seem to be more on Lennox Lewis's side. And then in the British public in general, I would say are on AJ. So same as when AJ lost. When AJ lost a fight, a lot of boxing fans weren't overly shocked, and a lot of people piled in on him. Whether you say that's deserved or not, that's just the fact. Whereas the British public in general, I think they still want to support AJ, still want to back AJ. But like I said, I'll try to give you an objective view, and Lennox is a respectful guy, and I've never seen him use vile language or try and purposely, let's say, harm AJ's reputation. But he has castigated him. Just look at the comments, watch the interviews. He has castigated him. He has purposely tried to purposely tried to give a false representation of what Anthony Joshua is. I believe that's what I personally believe. So I think Anthony Joshua saying what he said, either the sin is right. He thinks Lennox Lewis is a clown. That's cool. It's his opinion. The fact everyone's going on against AJ today, on Twitter at least, they're like, oh, why is he a clown? Why is he a clown? Come on, guys. Listen, it's his opinion. If he wants to say it, that's cool. Like, us average guys, like, maybe we're not in the right position to say it. Everyone's got an opinion. But obviously, AJ can put his accolades up. They're not the same as Lennox. If you talk about accolades, then who can talk about anything at the end of the day? But I think AJ's earned the right after all these years boxing to have his own opinion. If he feels he's been personally attacked constantly for a few years, which is possibly the case, then why not? Why can't you call Lennox Lewis a clown? Whether you guys have to agree with it or not, whether I agree with it or not, I probably do. It is what it is. It's up to him. He's a grown man. We're all grown men out here. We can all be men and say what we feel sometimes, as long as we're not purposely disrespecting somebody else to the effect where it's immoral or unmoral. If you guys know exactly what I'm trying to say. Yeah, let me know what you guys want to say. I reckon this will be a hot topic. I might be wrong. I reckon it will be though. And I reckon most people will say, oh no, AJ's well out of order. He's wrong. Lennox is in the right. AJ should respect his elders. All this kind of stuff, the typical stuff which people come out with, which is at the end of the day, if that's what you want to say, that's what you want to say. But my response to that is, at the end of the day, how would you feel if you've done well, you got to a certain level, and then you're getting castigated by your elders? At the end of the day, respect your elders with both your ways. Respect your elders, but you should also respect the people that come up if they're doing well, if they're in a pursuit of happiness, and if they're not disrespecting anyone, if they're not vile, and if they are a good role model for a generation of kids, women, men, and everyone to look up to, like Anthony Joshua probably is. And like I said, if you guys know me and watch my channel, I'm a Tyson Fury fan, so I've got no reason to big up Anthony Joshua or Lennox Lewis, because I am a Tyson Fury fan. That's he's my favourite boxer in the heavyweight division right now. Lomachenko, Crawford, and maybe Callum Smith are probably my other favourites right now. So yeah, like I said, I haven't got any vested bias towards this subject. Just thought I'd do a little video and see what you guys think. Cheers guys, it's been your boy, The H.